Hey guys, how's it going? I hope you're doing well. I'm so happy to be back and to be sharing this new recipe with you guys, or this new video I should say, because the recipe in itself is not new. I've been using it for years and I love it. So today I'm going to share with you guys my vanilla cake recipe. This is my go-to recipe. I use it as a base for many of my other flavors, whether it be lemon blueberry cake, whether it be chocolate chip cake. Whatever you really want, this is the base. A cookies and cream cake, for example, that we've seen on my first video. So this is the base recipe I use, and then you could go in and add whatever flavors you would like. First point, very important, is to get all our prep out of the way. I think it's really important to get all the prep done before you start because it makes the process that much faster and that much easier. So as you can see, I've already measured out all my ingredients in the back here. And now I'm at the point of prepping my pans. So I've got 8-inch pans today that I'm using. I often do 6-inch pans as well. That's totally up to you. I just felt like doing an 8-inch today. When using 6-inch though, you'll need 4 pans. So for the 8-inch, I only need 3. And I've cut out parchment paper here. So I've cut out long strips, okay? And I also have these ones. Now I wanted to show you how I do it. So you want to take one of your pieces of parchment and you want to fold it in triangles. So in half this way, and then again this way. Again. You could do it as many times as you want. The more you do it, the more precise the circle will be. We're gonna turn this upside down. We're gonna find the tip here. We're gonna put it to the center of the baking pan, just like so. And you're just gonna cut around it, just like that. Once you unfold this, you get a perfect round base. And then we're gonna come in with these strips and go along the edges, like so. Now, the point of doing this is to have our whole cake covered. So you don't want any batter touching the actual pan because that's when it will stick. So I'll do one with you guys and then I'll go ahead and do the rest. So I always start with an even coating of cooking spray, just like so. It might seem excessive, it is kind of, but it's the one way to be 100% sure that your cake slips out the minute you're done baking it. Now you're gonna take your lower disc and put it here. Also, what's really fun is that the parchment kind of sticks. So it just makes it that much more perfect. You know, you don't have to worry about the parchment moving once you're pouring your batter in. And then we're gonna go ahead like so, and like so. So this is what your prepared pan looks like. As you can see, every single centimeter is covered. So there you have it, that's done. Okay, so now that our baking sheets are prepped, they've been sprayed and the parchment has been put in, I want to take a few minutes to talk about my second life hack, or cake hack if you will. These are called baking strips, if I'm not mistaken. Basically all it is like a piece of fabric, and what it's used for is basically to ensure that the cake bakes evenly and flat. So I don't know about you guys, but when I was younger I would get a lot of issues with doming cakes, and this has been a lifesaver. Basically how you use it, you want to soak it in water for a minimum of 5 minutes. What I usually do once my cake pans are prepped and ready to go, I just go ahead and get these soaking right away. It takes me about 15 minutes to get my batter going. So I'm sure that these are gonna be nice and wet when we're gonna pop them in the oven. Okay, so this is the breakdown of the ingredients we'll be needing today. So we have 3 cups of cake flour. We have 2 cups of granulated sugar. We have half a cup of buttermilk. However, little hack for you guys, if you don't have buttermilk on hand, you can use half a cup of milk and 1 teaspoon of white vinegar, and we'll get the exact same effect. We also need pure vanilla extract. It's a personal opinion. I prefer the pure vanilla extract because I think it goes to get that extra flavor. However, if you don't want to spend that much money on vanilla, artificial vanilla works as well. 1/3 of a cup of vegetable oil, 5 whole eggs and 2 egg yolks, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 1 cup of butter or 2 sticks of butter, half a cup of sour cream, and lastly, 1 teaspoon of salt. Okay, so we're finally at that point where we could start our batter. So the first thing we're going to use is that 1 cup of butter. I use unsalted butter just because I like controlling how much salt goes into the recipe. So 1 cup goes in, and I just let that beat for a few minutes. Okay, so once that's gone for a few minutes, you can stop it. Now we're gonna add our 1/3 cup of vegetable oil, just like so. And at this point, I also add my teaspoon of salt. Now we get this going again. So in order to help incorporate both ingredients, so the butter and the oil, you might want to stop it halfway through and scrape down the sides, just like so. Perfect. So you can go ahead and start that again. I usually let this go for like a good 2 to 3 minutes on medium high because I really want to make sure that these two ingredients combine. Okay, so it's been about 2 minutes and my butter, my oil, and my salt have all come together and have become one. So now we're ready to go ahead and add our granulated sugar. Now it's really important to start on slow and work your way up to high. And once you get to high, you want to let it beat for a good 5 minutes. You want this mixture to become light and fluffy. You want it to almost look white. So I'm going to get this beating and I'll show you what it looks like in 5 minutes. Okay, so it's been about 5 minutes. So I'm happy with the result. I'm just gonna show you guys what it looks like. So it's very white. You can't even tell there's butter in here. You think it's probably shortening or something, but it's real butter. And if you look at the consistency, it's like really nice, light, fluffy, and that's exactly what we want. All right, so as mentioned earlier, we have 5 whole eggs and 2 egg yolks. These additional 2 egg yolks are gonna add richness to the cake. So what I usually do, I put the mixer on low, and as it's going, one by one, I'm gonna add the eggs in. So I start on low, but once I get all my eggs incorporated in, then I'll move up to like a medium, and I'll leave it there for a few minutes just to make sure that the eggs really get mixed into the batter. So once the eggs are nicely mixed in, this is when I'm going to add my vanilla. I am the hugest vanilla fan. If I have vanilla bean paste, I'll use vanilla bean paste. If I don't, which is the case today, I'm using vanilla extract. I don't actually measure it because I love it so much. It's kind of pricey, so my husband isn't really happy about that one, but I never measured anyway. He says I should, but I don't. So just go on ahead. If you want to measure it, it's probably about like a tablespoon. I know that seems like a lot, but that's what I do and they come out divine. So go ahead with this here, and then you just want to mix this in. So once our vanilla is mixed in, this is when it gets exciting. So we're getting really, really close to the end. So what we're gonna do now is alternate the wet ingredients we have left and the dry ingredients we have left. So I don't know if you remember, we had 1/2 cup of sour cream and 1/2 cup of buttermilk. I mix them both together at this point. So I just plop one into the other like so. So you just want to fold them in one to the other. This way when you're adding it in, it's already homogeneous. And to our 3 cups of cake flour, I'm adding the 2 teaspoons of baking powder, just like so. And then with a fork or a whisk, you just want to make sure to incorporate that. So as I mentioned before, we're going to be alternating between the flour and the wet ingredients. We always start and end with flour. You just want to make sure to alternate so that we get a good mix of all the ingredients. So I do this on low the whole time. Okay, the second I add in the last bit of flour, I stop it right away because another really, really important tip is not to overmix your cake batter. So what I like to do personally is the second I add that last bit of flour in and that the paddle attachment has gone around a few times, I stop it and I mix the end by hand just to ensure that you have more control and that you're not overmixing the cake batter. So I just mix the rest in by hand, like I said. So you just want to fold it in, just like so, until you can't notice any flour remaining. So we're now going to be able to fill our pans. You can use a scale if you want to make sure to spread them evenly. However, today I'm not too worried about that. So we're about ready to pop them in the oven. I just want to add my baking strips. So I'm gonna pull these out of the sink, and you just wanna wring them out to be sure that there's no excess water. And then you just wanna put these on and adjust them as needed. Okay, so these cakes are ready to hit the oven. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I usually put the timer on for about 20 minutes, and once we hit that 20-minute mark, I come check on them. Depending on your oven, the times will vary. So I always start at 20 for 8-inch cakes, and I see as I go. For 6-inch cakes, you wanna bake it for at least 35 minutes initially, and see as you go as well. So like I mentioned, these go in at 350 degrees. I'll show you what they look like when they come out. Okay guys, so it's been about 30 minutes and the cakes just came out of the oven. After about 2 minutes, what I do, I like to remove the parchment. See how easily that comes off? Just like that. And you want to get a cooling rack, obviously. What I like doing is flipping them over onto a cool rack. What I do here, it might be a little hot for some. I find that because of the baking strip, it kind of prevents you from burning yourself. And you could just flip it over. Or if you prefer, you could take another cooling rack, put it on top. I usually do it this way. You just grab it like this, flip it over. Try not to drop it. And there you go. You can leave it like this until cool, but I don't see the purpose or the need to keep it on top, so I just lift it up and it comes right out, super clean. So we're done with this. And I just let it sit like this. I let this go until it's completely cooled. And as you can see, the cake kind of looks a bit lighter than it usually would. Usually it'll look a bit more golden brown or much darker. So I like this because my favorite part of the cake is that center piece where it's like the whitest, right? On the sides, I often find that it gets too brown and overcooked. So that's another way that the baking strips help us because they ensure that the cake bakes evenly and even the outside is just as fluffy and moist as that centerpiece that everyone loves. Whenever I assemble cakes, I want to make sure that my cakes are frozen. The main reason for that is that it just helps it be more stable while I'm decorating it. Obviously, when you go to eat it, you want to make sure it comes to room temperature, but freezing it, even if it's just for like an hour before you stack it, will greatly help stack the cake without stuff drooping or falling or whatever. So once my cakes have cooled, I wrap them in plastic wrap and I will freeze them for a minimum of like 1 hour. Sometimes you can even bake the cake the day before and the next day you can assemble it. Okay guys, so stay tuned for my next video where I'll be showing you guys a variety of different buttercreams that I think pair beautifully with this vanilla cake. But obviously you could go ahead and just use your favorite buttercream. You could do cream cheese frosting, chocolate buttercream, strawberry buttercream, Italian buttercream, American buttercream, like the options are endless. So obviously, if all you're looking for was the recipe, well, there you go. But if you're interested in seeing a variety of different buttercreams, well, stay tuned and I'll be posting that in my next video. All right, if you guys have any other suggestions of videos that you'd like to see, make sure to comment them in the comment section. Otherwise, be sure to subscribe and click that bell button to get notified when I post new videos. All right, have a wonderful day, guys. Bye.